Here's some drop site news. So Donald Trump has confirmed that he's bombing Yemen. He's threatening to go to war with Iran, and he just restarted the genocide in Gaza. A guy who was supposed to end the wars, a guy who was mandated and voted in to pledge support for America first. Remember all the mega people that don't want this, all the mega supporters that are now flabbergasted by Donald Trump's commitment to Israel to further expand wars. That now probably your kids are going to now go fight. People are flabbergasted. They came in massive droves thinking that this guy was going to be an anti-interventionist, and now he's advancing more warfare on the behest of a foreign nation. So, drop site news points says breaking: Israel resumes war on Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister's office, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and Israeli Defense Minister Yisrael Kitz have instructed the military to take forceful action against Hamas in the Gaza Strip. Medical sources in northern Gaza have confirmed to drop site news that aerial bombardments are being heard across the entire Gaza Strip from north to south. Everywhere, literally everywhere, said one source. So here, this is from Benjamin Netanyahu's office saying this. His office that is filled with a bunch of war criminals, a bunch of right-wing theocrats, and supremacists. Because the whole perspective, the reason the Zionist cult project and the Greater Israeli Project are all formed is because they want a total supremacist state. And I told people, how are their actions any different than what Hitler did in Germany or what the Ku Klux Klan was doing in America? Explain to me the difference. Explain to me how this is considered defense and what the Ku Klux Klan and what Hitler did isn't. Is not similar to this. Because right now, Zionists are twisting themselves in a pretzel to defend this. So, Netanyahu's office, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yisrael Katz have directed the IDF to act forcefully against the Hamas terrorist organization in Gaza Strip. This comes after Hamas repeatedly refused to release our abductees and reject all forms it received from the U.S. President's envoy, Steve Witkoff, and from mediators. No, Israel broke every ceasefire agreement. They even announced this in January when the ceasefire was going on. Every Zionist was going around screaming at the top of their lungs that a ceasefire was not going to happen. We can't allow this to happen. A ceasefire means you're supporting the terrorists. We knew this was not going to hold up. We knew that Israel was not going to hold up to their end of the bargain. And Hamas was holding back on the hostages, because Benjamin Netanyahu did not want to receive the hostages to use as leverage to keep this war going. And two, all the Palestinians that are locked up in Israeli prison, they're not being released. Which was the whole point of the ceasefire deal. The whole point of the exchange is that we give your people back, you give us our people back. You know, the hundreds and hundreds of Palestinians that are locked up in their prison way before October 7th. Nobody mentions that. Nobody mentions that. That's because they're considered prisoners, according to, Zionist propaganda. The IDF is currently attacking targets affiliated with the Hamas terrorist organization throughout the Gaza Strip, with the aim of achieving their war goals defined by the political echelon, including the release of all of our abductees, living and dead. From now on, Israel will act against Hamas with increased military force. The operational plan was presented by the IDF at the end of last week and approved by the political election. Is it election? I don't know how to pronounce that word. So, this is the destruction is going to get worse. It's going to get worse. It's going to get more devastating. And all this is going to do is just fire more people up, because Americans don't want this. Canadians don't want this. Nobody wants this to happen. Everybody's seen the devastation. Everybody's seen how horrifying and just absolutely destructive and chaotic and just heartbreaking it is to watch children, young children, that the IDF is purposely targeting and killing. And they're trying to cover up using propaganda saying that babies are going to be born into these terrorist groups, or they're training kids to be part of Hamas, or they do innocent children. Innocent children. Which, by the way, Israel has a summer training program for kids to enter into the IDF. So everything that Israel claims Hamas is doing, Israel's actually already done it. You ever notice that? Everything they claim that Palestine and Hamas is doing to their kids, no, they're training Israelis, training them in summer camps to be with the IDF. Just think of that. Think of that. So, Gaza notifications. Breaking, the Israeli army has killed ABC News journalist Hussam al-Titi and his family in an Israeli airstrike on their home while they were asleep. So, an ABC News, an American journalist, was killed in these airstrikes last night. An ABC News journalist. Do you think America is going to get angry about this? Do you think America is going to be outraged that, hey, you killed our own journalist? You killed an ABC News journalist. You killed one of our own. I thought we were supposed to be buddies. I don't like this. Do you think they're going to get called out? No. No. Look at what happened with the Washington Post journalist in Saudi Arabia who was murdered. Murdered. Out in the open. Murdered. By Saudi Arabia. Everybody knew about it. Everyone was heartbroken by that. An American journalist was killed by her supposed ally. What did Donald Trump do? He turned the other way. He turned the other way. Yeah, it's sad. It's heartbreaking that one of our journalists have died over there. An American person should have died. But we got to continue business. Business as usual. And he gave an arms deal to Saudi Arabia. So, they're not going to be outraged by this. Just like they're not going to be outraged by children. Just like they're not going to be outraged by anybody. They will massacre and slaughter any person, especially if it helps protect their business. Especially if it helps protect the status quo, the globalization capital that war profiteers get. Here's another heartbreaking detail. The Israeli army killed 5 siblings. Mohammed, Tariq, Lana, Aya, and Watin Ziad al-Humada, along with their mother, Hadel Nami al-Hamadi, in a missile strike in their tent in southern Gaza. A mother and her 5 kids. Someone tell me how this is defensive. How this is okay. This guy, Ryan Rabzani, says, I don't even know what to say. These images are brutal, mostly children from what I've seen. Over 250 Palestinians in Gaza were killed tonight while they were sleeping, over 300 injured. Israel did this in an hour after announcing they have ended the ceasefire without any provocation. So within an hour, no hesitation, they went back to slaughtering. And they still want to point the finger at Hamas. Do you see how you're being lied to? Do you see how you're being gaslit to? That our so-called friends are actually our enemies. Israel's not to be trusted. Israel is a terrorist supremacist state. That the only reason we're supporting them is because of business, money laundering, and blackmail. That's the only reason. That's the only reason. Someone explain to me why we're allies then, if it's not for those 3 reasons. Within an hour. So, obviously, these images that are horrific. I can't show you all the images here because obviously YouTube is going to flag them or whatnot. But this one in particular, because it's not, bloodshed, it's not completely gory. And I've checked through the system. I think it's okay to show this, but just to give an example of how horrific this is, I just want to play this to you. Watch. Innocent lives that have lost everything. Lost their homes, their schools, their hospitals, everything. Now sleeping in this camp area on cots and sleeping bags that are getting further massacred. That's why I was worried and had suspicions when they were starting to allow more Palestinians back into Gaza after they tried to push them out. That was the worrisome factor, because I figured, why would they bring back more Palestinians to a war zone that they completely annihilated? There's no structure left standing. It's completely destroyed. Why would they bring back people of Gaza to remain in Gaza? Because they wanted to finish the job. They want to finish annihilating this civilization. Not just not relocating, annihilating. That's how I know Trump was gaslighting you when he's talked about how we're going to relocate the Palestinians and we're going to rebuild. No, that was bullshit. Oh, we're going to rebuild the houses for Palestine. No, you're not. Because if you're compliant to Israel, you're compliant to the complete annihilation of a civilization, which is what's happening, which is what you're allowing to do. So, breakthrough news. This is a doctor. This is Dr. Mohammed Mustafa. Describes the horrible situation in Gaza at a hospital after a night of nonstop Israeli bombardment. And it is heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. You would have to be a soulless, insane psychopath not to feel any sort of emotion, not to feel any sort of empathy, not to sympathize with how much the Palestinians have gone through. Not even just with October 7th and this genocide, but throughout their entire lives. Since the start of the Nakba, since the start of the colonization of Israel. And here is just what happened on one night after this horrific bombardment that Israel called Trump and said it was okay. Listen to this.
We've worked throughout the entire night. We haven't stopped. The bombing has been non-stop. We've run out of ketamine. We've run out of propofol. We've run out of all painkillers. We can't sedate anyone. We can't give them any analgesia. When we intubate people, they wake up and they're choking because we have no sedation. There are 7 girls getting their legs amputated, no anesthesia. The bombing is still going on. The room is still shaking. I haven't slept. We went to bed at about 1 o'clock, and at 1:30 the bombing started. It's about 10 a.m. now. I've just gone back to my room. I'm lightheaded. I'm dizzy. And I mean, it was just mostly women and children, burnt head to toe, limbs missing, heads missing. There's a video I put up on my story of me doing a chest drain. The gentleman that did the chest drain, and he died on the way to the CT scan. There's another video of 3 girls laying on a bed. That's his 3 girls, who are now orphaned. Their mother didn't even make it into the hospital. She was killed along with their other sister. I don't know what to tell you. I was here in June, nothing to this intensity. This is unbelievable, and the bombing is still going on. The rooms are still shaking. The screams are everywhere. It's insane. I need to just take 15 minutes, or even an hour, just to rest, to go back in there and go back down again. I feel awful to leave, but I've been there all night and I haven't stopped, and my legs are shaking and I feel dizzy and lightheaded. The smell of burnt flesh is still in my nose.
I mean, what else can you say than tragic and just awful? Absolutely awful. And again, I'm sure there's going to be some idiotic, insane, psychotic, satanic Zionists laughing about this. I'm sure they're going to go around, laugh about it, make jokes, and say somehow this is a good thing. That children in a hospital, that people in a hospital are being targeted. And they'd say, well, there might be Hamas in that hospital. There might be a Hamas agency. There's tunnels underneath the hospital. Does that give you the right to tear down and destroy and kill and savage an entire population of people at a hospital? Does that give you the right to do that? No. No. Absolutely not. What they are doing here is a war crime. It is a freaking war crime. There's no way out of it. There's no weaseling out of it. There's no weaseling out of it. Calling the ICC anti-Semitic. That is a freaking war crime, and they know it. They are now the thing that they say they're trying to prevent. They say that they're trying to prevent a Holocaust. Guess what? They're the ones introducing a new Holocaust. Same old thing, new faces. That's all it is. So this is another doctor. This guy's an amputee and a pediatrician, Dr. Khalid Al-Sadini, one of Gaza's few remaining doctors, continues treating patients at Al-Aqsa Matras Hospital despite losing a leg in Israeli attacks because they're killing the doctors. They're killing the journalists, they're killing doctors, they're killing teachers, they're killing everybody. Everybody. Why would you do that unless you were trying to provoke a genocide, an ethnic cleansing of a population? Why would you be shooting at doctors who are trying to save the lives of children caught in a war zone? Which isn't even a war zone because Palestinians can't even attack. This guy lost his leg and he's still pledging to help children in a hospital that are dying because of this. This Palestinian doctor is back to work treating sick children, despite losing a leg last year to a shrapnel wound during the war. Been pediatric for 23 years. During the first third of the war, severe bone inflation. How am I supposed to live the rest of my life without my leg? The movement at work. We work in emergencies. We need to go downstairs. We need to be present with patients. We need to move. We need to move around, to be honest. My leg is very important to my job. We hope the war stops soon and things go back to where we were. Hopefully it stops soon, as soon as possible, to put an end to suffering children first and foremost. Children witness things I've never seen before and heard things they never seen before. Israel's war on Gaza has killed at least 46,565 Palestinians. Again, go ahead and tell me that this is defense. Go ahead and tell me, right to my face, with your dead little eyes. Go ahead and tell me that it's worth it. That killing mothers and children, innocent lives, killing people at a hospital, blowing up their neighborhoods, blowing up communities, blowing up schools, hospitals, everything is worth it because we're trying to stop Hamas. And again, I'm not supportive of Hamas, but Netanyahu is. Netanyahu pays money to Hamas. I don't. I just want this war to end so that little children are not suffering. That we're not wiping out an entire population, a race of people, to support a supremacist state. People who are less than empathetic about anything. People who joke around about the death of anybody to build up their supremacy. Again, how are they different than German Nazis? How are they any different than the Ku Klux Klan by doing this? So Kim Iverson states, someone explained to me exactly what Hamas did recently to warrant the bombs being dropped, killing hundreds last night. Last I checked, Hamas complied with the ceasefire. Israel refused to move to phase 2 and has been attempting to force Hamas into negotiating a new deal. Hamas wanted to stick to the already agreed upon deal, so Israel blocked Gaza of all of its aid and is now killing kids again. And the proposed deal that Israel wanted to move forward would refuse to release Palestinian hostages that they have, and also cut back on the hostages that they're trying to save from their own people. And why would they do that? Because, again, Benjamin Netanyahu doesn't actually want to save lives. Benjamin Netanyahu would sacrifice his own people to advance this warfare. And that's exactly what they did on October 7th. There was Apache helicopters on top of that concert that shot and gunned down Israeli citizens. They blew up cars. They did everything to manufacture consent so that they can advance an ethnic cleansing of a population. That's all this is. That's what we knew from day one. And anyone that's still peddling this fear-mongering crap and telling me that I'm anti-Semitic or I'm hateful or I'm bigoted towards Jewish people, crack open a book, understand what's happening on, and shut the hell up. Shut the hell up. Stop your crocodile tears. I'll go full Norman Finkelstein on this. I will go full Norman Finkelstein and say, shut down your crocodile tears, shut down your crap, because there's more Jewish people that are against this, that are calling this out, that are stating that the Zionists are using their Judaism in bad faith to protect themselves of heinous actions like this. There's more Jewish people calling this out than there are Jewish Zionists. In fact, there's more Christian Zionists supporting this because they use the Bible, they use the Jesus bait for this. And why did they start all this? Well, just before October 7th, that no one wants to talk about, Netanyahu was supposed to go on trial for corruption. And that's why right before October 7th, Israeli citizens were protesting about this guy. Protesting outside this guy's office, outside this guy's house. They wanted him out of office. And that was before October 7th. Then it happened. And now, because they're in a war zone, he's now still commander-in-chief. They can't do a trial on him. They can't try him of any corruption scandal whatsoever. They can't kick him out of office. They can't unelect him out. Because it's a war zone. So, this gave Netanyahu, the most evil son of a bitch that I know, a defense to cover himself with scandals that he is complicit of in his government, that even the Israeli people know about. So Israelis are against this guy. Palestinians are definitely against this guy. We're against this guy. What more is there? What more is there? Everybody I know is against this guy. But you know who's not against this guy? The politicians, the corporations. Why? Because the blackmail and deceit that Israel plagues them with makes them complicit to this. They bend the knee so willingly to this colonized Zionist supremacist state. And here's to wrap this up, to add perfectly, Smedley Butler, this is what he wrote back in the 30s. The 30s, before even World War II, before the Holocaust. He states, war is just a racket. A racket is best described, I believe, as something that is not what it seems to the majority of people. Only a small inside group knows what it is about. It is conducted for the benefit of the very few at the expense of the masses. That's exactly what is happening here. That's exactly what happens with every war. And that is why war is a racket, which Smedley Butler wrote. I highly recommend checking that out and reading it for yourself because it is beyond its time. It was written back in the 30s. This guy was, I believe, a Navy captain when he enlisted, and he wrote that War is a Racket book. And it's ahead of its time because it's exactly pointing out what our military-industrial complex is doing today. Exactly everything that's going on right now, why we go into war, why it never comes to an end, why they refuse to do peace negotiations, why diplomacy seems to be a lost cause, is exactly because of this. Because war is a racket, and they want continuous, so they keep the business afloat, the war business afloat. More death, disparity, destruction that goes around the world, the more that the sinister, evil, benign people that will never fight their own battles can profit off it. We are the sacrifice for the decision of the few.